welcome in. We are excited. We are here for part 2 of Unstuck and Unstoppable. Tonight's conversation is really based on getting past the pressure or pushing past the pressure. Often, when we start new things or we retry new things or we try to go beyond where we've been before, there's some type of pressure, whether it comes from ourselves, whether it comes from some society or things outside of us. So that's tonight's conversation. As always, we are always excited for people to join us. If you're new here, welcome to the Vent. The Vent is a safe space to talk, to listen, to be heard. Every voice is valued. Every voice is honored here. We want to hear from your experience. We want you to drop gems on us, drop your wisdom on us, life experience, things that you've studied, whatever it may be. Your voice is valuable in this space, and this is a safe space to share. We laugh together. We reminisce together. We send condolences to one another. So we are always excited to be together and know that we truly do heal in community. We cannot do it alone. It's hard. It's harder to accomplish things alone. You can get there, but you can get so much further when you're able to do it in community and have that encouragement, that support, and that accountability. So welcome into the Vent. While you may see me on the screen, this is a communal conversation. So feel free to drop something in the comments, to ask questions, to drop your responses. We want to hear from you, whether it's an emoji, a heart, a comment, a laugh. We want to hear from you because we are in community. So the biggest thing tonight is, one, this is part 2. So we're going to do just a quick recap of what we already talked about. Again, we're here every Tuesday. We're always excited to see new people, same people. Hey, Britt. We're excited to see new people, same people, people on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. We are one big community across several time zones and timelines and parts of life. So we're excited to be here. Just a quick recap. If you were not here last week, we talked about breaking free. So often when we set new goals, when we're looking forward to the future, sometimes we hit this wall, right? And it's like, I can't get past. Every time I try to do this, every time I start a business, every time I try to move, every time I try to venture out, every time I come with no ideas, I get to this point and then something happens. Every time I lose weight, I get to this point and then something happens, right? So we talked about breaking free from that. And the first thing in anything, no matter whether it is positive or negative, first thing you got to see, what's in your way, like what's stopping you. So we talked about that. For many of us, it was ourselves, our own lack of discipline, getting inside our own heads, our own overthinking. And the second part of that conversation was embracing the power of consistency. So since we identified what was getting in our way, what could possibly have been stopping us, what were some barriers and some obstacles, then it was like, okay, how do I overcome that? It's very difficult to try to overcome that by just taking this big goal and trying to accomplish everything at once. So we talked about doing small, consistent things over time to build your momentum and then move forward. So those are the two big things we talked about last week. It's one, realizing what's stopping you, identifying it, right? So you can recognize it if it tries to come up again, and it will, right? And then two, overcoming that through consistency, through taking small steps, through not overwhelming ourselves or setting goals, but setting goals and then breaking them up into setting big goals, right? Because we don't want to give up our big goals, but breaking them down into small goals that we can work towards every day so that we're not completely overwhelmed and overtaken by this thing that we definitely can't accomplish. Now, tonight is part 2. So we're doing this all month. I'm excited for tonight because it's really, we've taken this introspective look and now we want to look outside of ourselves and push past societal pressure from family, pressure from things that have happened before. And we do play a role in that, but we're going to even look at some ways, some very practical ways that we can push past that pressure so that the pressure won't keep us stagnant, so that the pressure won't cause us to just throw in the towel, right? Again, we talked about this. A lot of people have a lot of resolutions, right? Anybody have New Year's resolutions or goals, or just in general, you have things that you want to do. It's 2025. You want to make a certain amount. You want to get a raise. You want to quit your 9 to 5. You want to travel more, whatever it is. We want to make sure that you're able to do that. You're not overwhelmed or wearing yourself out trying to make it happen. So that's why we're here this month, all month. We'll be talking about that from small scale things to large scale things, because all of it matters and all of it really does have an effect on us. So I said a lot. I want to hear from y'all. You can drop in the comments where you're watching from. You can drop in the comments what you're looking forward to in 2025. We ain't gonna get too much. We get in your business, but we ain't gonna get all up in your business that you got to put in the comments. So we want to talk about what you. Brie said she got a whole list of things. Me too, girl. Me too. So the biggest thing we want to do is share. We get to know each other. You never know if you're in the same area as somebody, the same state as somebody. We have people in Virginia, people in Texas. We have people in California. We have people all over. So I'm excited that one, we're across time zones, and two, like, we can see ourselves across time zones and still have so much in common. And one of the things for me, and I talked about this last week, and one of my friends was laughing at me earlier, but like over the pandemic, I gained 20 pounds. I lost most of it, and then I gained back 8 pounds. So I'm working on being consistent being consistent with eating well and staying active. And then that part, the root of that is just discipline. Another thing I want to do this year is travel more. So yeah. Britt is in. She's on Instagram. For whatever reason, I can't post comments from Instagram up here on StreamYard. But Britt is on from Instagram, and she's in Lynchburg. So I'm glad that you came on, girl. She is from Lynchburg, Virginia. So we are excited. I know I saw somebody else up here earlier. But we have people in Norfolk. I don't want to put people stuff out if they don't want, but we have people in Norfolk, Franklin, different parts of Texas, California, St. Louis. I don't want to miss nobody, so I'm gonna just stop there before I mess up, right? So one of the biggest things when we look at pushing past pressure, right? You may not control all the events, and this is from Maya Angelou. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced from them. And one of the big things with that is, we talked about this like probably on like a lot of episodes, right? Things are going to happen. Stress is going to happen. Everything's not going to go right every time. We know that. But the big thing is not that it's going to happen or when it happens. It is the decision that you make after it happens, while it's happening, to not be reduced by the things going on after you. What does that mean? You didn't get the job. That doesn't mean that you're inadequate or that you're not qualified. It just means that that opportunity possibly may not have been for you. Maybe you could have been overlooked, but there are other possibilities out. It doesn't discount who you are. The relationship didn't work out, right? It could have been totally out of your control. However, that doesn't reduce your ability to love, your ability to be loved. It doesn't reduce who you are. Things may not have gone how you thought they were going to go, right? Often routes we take, what do you call them? Like detours, right? And we thought things were going to go one way and it goes another way. And then we're just so frustrated and upset, and it's understandable. I do it, right? But the big thing is, like, it does not reduce. We have to make the decision. You have to make the decision. I have to make the decision to not allow that to reduce who I am. So I didn't get a job. It doesn't make me any less than or any less educated or experienced. The relationship didn't work out. Doesn't make me any less lovable. I didn't get the raise. It doesn't mean that I'm not great at what I do. The person did not want to connect or network with me. Doesn't mean that you don't do what you do well. It just might not have been the best merger for you, right? But it does not. We have to make the decision that this didn't work out. This didn't go as planned, whatever the case may be. But I'm not going to allow that to reduce who I am or make me feel less than. How do we do that? The first part that we're looking at, we're looking at 3 things tonight. And I want to hear from your experiences. So chime in at any point. This is community. The first thing we really want to focus on is identifying and challenging limiting beliefs. So this is introspective in a way, but it also has this outward part that goes with other people. Because a lot of time our limiting beliefs didn't start with us. They started with the people around us, whether it's family, friends, community, neighborhood. It started with the things that we heard from other people that made me think, like, I'm from a small town, right? I'm literally from a really small town. And one of the things that people often talk about my town is people from Franklin don't do this, or they don't do that, or they're known for this, right? It's this, like, you're put in a box just based on your zip code, where you're from. I don't know if anybody else has had the experience, but it's almost like because you're from a small town, you're limited to doing like these three things and that's it, right? That's all you got, right? For other people, it may be because I am a woman, because I am a man, because I am whatever. It's now embedded in your brain, subconsciously or not, that you can't do something because society has told you you can't, because family has told you you can't, because friends have told you you can't, because maybe you've never seen anybody, so you internalize it. But the first thing with anything, right, you identify it and then you overcome it. Limiting beliefs, right? Actions, decisions, opportunities. I'm not going to apply to that job. They'll never accept me, right? We start telling ourselves this often based on like things that are totally not true, but we believe it because we keep hearing it. You know, like you keep believing something, you keep hearing something, you start to believe it. And often like the things really aren't true at all. So what do limiting beliefs do? Here's the issue with limiting beliefs. You could probably live life and have a pretty good, mediocre life believing these things, right? However, they do create some invisible barriers, right? You settled to do this, and whether you admit that you settled or recognize it, it does create invisible barriers, right? I'm not good enough to succeed. If I make this amount of money, that'll be enough. That's all I really need. And you stop there. People like me, right? People from this town, people from this area, people that grew up in a single parent home, people that had children younger in life, right? We come up with whatever society has told us that we don't believe or we don't belong or we shouldn't be able to. We often internalize it. Hey, cousin, Level Up Art is on. Hey, cousin. So how do we combat that? Is one, we recognize it. We recognize the fact that it creates barriers, right? If I take a risk, right? Somebody told you to live really, really safe. So if I take a risk, then I have now the possibility to lose everything I got because somebody told you that, or that was something that was ingrained in you, and now you believe it. Now, how do we break that? Start analyzing. It's all about your perception of things. So a lot of times I perceive based on what I know, what I've internalized. So if somebody tell me you're from a small town, so you can't be this major mogul, I may believe that. But then I have to go back and say, okay, wait a minute, why do I believe this? Right? Or after 50, you can't you can't be successful because it's too late. Like who told you that? Like, do you know how many CEOs started businesses and became successful? And it's not just about money. How many CEOs and people who are doing just living in their passion started at like 30 and 40 and 50 and 60? Y'all remember they were talking about the lady even from Black Panther. She was like, I think 70 something. And now she's known for the Black Panther movie. But she wasn't 15 years old, 12 years old doing it. She was an elder in that movie, right? And she's living her dream now, one of her dreams now. There are people who started companies at 30, at 40. Like Oprah just started her own network a few years ago. Oprah is not super young, and this is not ages, but what I'm saying is you don't have to be a certain age or be from a certain place or have a certain background to be successful in whatever way success looks like for you. And how do we know that? Because you start asking questions like, why do I even believe that? Especially when there's evidence that it's not true. Like, am I believing that because I'm afraid? Or am I believing it because this is something that's actually factual? And if you got people and examples that discredit whatever is being said, we already know it's not true. Also, reframing. So instead of saying things like, oh, I'm not good enough to do this, or I'll never, it's more like, you know what? I need to get some more experience. I can learn some more things. I can practice this. My daughter plays an instrument. She plays the euphonium. Didn't even know what it was until she came home and said, I want to play the euphonium. Had to Google it, had to find it. Here's the thing. She didn't know how to play it until she took lessons. And even now, as time goes on, she's getting better at it. She could have tried one day and said, you know what, I'm not good enough to do this. But no, she keeps going to band rehearsal. She keeps practicing at home. She's cleaning her instrument. She's having the right, the right whatever she needs to do to go forward. She's cleaning it. She's practicing. She's learning the notes, everything that goes with it. So her excuse is not good enough. Her thing now is, okay, I haven't become a master at this instrument, but with time and practice, I can do it. I can make it happen. I can make it work. Right? Uh, Britt said sometimes believing it is uncomfortable. It can be scary to challenge those thoughts. That is so true. And that's why it's an ongoing practice. That's why I believe. And if anybody else wants to chime in, we definitely want to hear from you. It's an ongoing practice because it's absolutely scary, especially if you haven't seen it, especially if you in the net. And when we get into the next point, especially if you don't have people around you that necessarily support it, it is very scary. But it's the same thing. Like, it's like getting on the bike. The more you say it, the more you do it, the more you take steps to keep making it happen. It is something that, I won't say that it won't be scary at all, but it's like you push past the scariness because you're hungry for what's on the other side of it. Like, man, I haven't seen this. I don't have a blueprint for it. I don't know. I'm not even remotely close to anybody who's done this before or has started this before. But my belief and my actions and my everyday things that lead me towards it help me. My reframing, my taking steps and researching and learning more helps it become more real. Like, the more you're exposed to, things become more real. I hope I'm saying it. I hope it's coming across to y'all like I can see it in my brain. I don't know. It's scary. I would say it's scary. It is scary. And I don't know if it is ever not scary, but I do know it's like riding a bike. The more that you do it and the more that you keep going, the more you can stick with it. I can't say the less scary it becomes, but the more you can stick with it. Miss Blunt, hey Miss Blunt, she's on Facebook. She said it's a mindset change, and that's exactly what it is. It's like you have to tell yourself, okay, this is possible, and then you like actually give yourself facts. Okay, I can do this because, right, and you start qualifying it. Let's say you start in a business. I can do this because, so and so is from this area, and they started their business and they started with a food truck, and now they have 10 restaurants. Right? They didn't start with money. Like, it's possible because somebody got a formula to make it happen. So I'm shifting my mindset from I can't do it to it's been done. It is possible, but you have to keep feeding it to yourself to make it real. And that is how, like, mindsets change over time. It's not something overnight or something that's going to happen even quickly, but it is something that we have to be diligent with, making sure that we're feeding it every day and not feeding those other thoughts or falling into those other thoughts. And a big part of that, speaking of Britt and Miss Blunt, speaking of that, like keeping it going and reducing the fear and like really going into it and doing it scared. One thing my mentor says all the time, he says you got to do it scared. Like, just go for it, go for it scared. And I guess for me, and this might not work for everybody because I don't know what your level of risk is, but my thing is like, if it doesn't work, I'll just be where I am. It's like, I want to live a life personally. I want to live, hey Reby, I want to live a life where I don't have any regret. So I took the risk. It may even be a calculated risk, right? I took the risk and I tried it. I started working towards it. And even if it doesn't exactly work out, I don't have the regret of, man, I wonder what would have happened if I would have tried. If I would have, sent the email or try to talk to the person or gone to the pop-up or what, I wonder what would have happened. I never want to have to look back and wonder what if. So it's like, we'll take it, even if it's calculated, we'll just start taking steps. And one thing that I have noticed, even with like the event and other things, is like, once you start doing it, sometimes like stuff falls into place. You start meeting people, you start like things just start happening. And it's like, you're still scared, but you also can keep going. And a big part of that is the people around you, building the right network. We talk about this. This is probably like a quarterly conversation on the event. Your network really is your net worth. Like, the people you surround yourself with, the people that you're connected to, the people that you do life with, the people that you're talking to consistently really are your net worth. So it's like, who are the people that you're talking to? Who are the people that are influencing you? I was out at dinner with two of my friends last night, right? And these people really do push. They either push you or they pull you back. And one of the things, one of my friends is at the end of his doctoral program, so he'll be done with his doctorate in May. And one of my other friends is kind of halfway through his program. So they looking at me like, okay, so when you going back to school? And I'm like, this won't even tonight's conversation. So first of all, watch your mouth. No, I'm playing. I was just like, right. It was this accountability. It was this, like, okay, what do you like? It's this conviction and it's accountability because because of where my circle is. They're now looking at me like, okay, so what you doing? Right? But it could also be the other way where it's like they don't have any goals. And not saying that education is the ultimate goal, but it's just that's where my circle is. So for whatever area you're in, whatever your life may look like right now, the people around you, it's just what are they reaching for? Are they trying to grow? Are they moving forward? Do they have goals? Are they pushing towards something, or are they just complacent and okay with where they are? And if nobody's holding you accountable, that's kind of scary, right? So I have accountability in different areas. So my friends over here, they're like my, what you doing, like ministry, education, what are you working on? That's that group, right? And personal life too. My mentor is constantly like, okay, how are you growing? Right? Did you do this? Did you like, he's checking me on the things that I should be doing and the things that I said I was going to do constantly, right? And it's a level of accountability. Like if you don't do it, if everybody around you is building businesses or going back to school or pursuing their goals, whatever that looks like for them, it's gonna be difficult for you to do nothing because you're gonna be looking around and not, you don't even have to do the same thing they doing. So let me say, just if I decide to go to school, it's not because they went to school, it's because I already said I'm going back to school. So their accountability is, okay, now when you going back to school? Right? So you don't even have to do what people in your circle are doing, but you need to be doing something, right? So hey, K for boy, hey. And Britt said accountability is hard, but you gotta love the ones who hold their feet to your fire. 100%, because they are the ones who keep you going. Like and sometimes you get frustrated with them. Sometimes you're looking at them like, this is like last night. I was like, we didn't come here for it. We were watching a football game. We eating chicken wings. Like, why in the world are we talking about this? No, I don't want to talk about this. But they were right. So today, guess what I was doing? Looking at applications, rethinking like what my plan, my discipline and things like that was. Hey Carl, it's a lot. Ooh, it's a lot because they really do hold your feet to the fire. But it's one of those things that in a good way. Like I need you to keep me because I don't want to get comfortable in a complacent way where it's just like, oh, I'm good here. No, we should be reaching towards something. So here's our part of our what we need to be doing. So the first thing is because it's not you, but we need to look at what we are believing. So are we thinking from a limited space of I can't, or are we reframing into this is what I need to do to get to that point? I need to take some more classes. I need to do some more research. I need to just keep practicing, or I need to keep going down the path I'm going and stay consistent with it. So what does that look like for you, right? And then the second part is mapping your circle. So what does that look like? Your inner circle. Those are my friends, right? My inner circle are my friends. Those are the people who uplift me, they inspire me, they hold me accountable. So for all of us up here is now, okay, look at your circle. Who's in your inner circle? Are they telling you, oh no? Because here's the thing that gets us. It's not necessarily people that are against you, because you know them, you ain't paying no mind for the most part, right? Sometimes it gets to you, hurt your feelings, but at the end of the day, you know what you're pushing toward, and you're gonna keep doing it regardless of them, right? A lot of times what trips us up is when we have people in our inner circle who are telling us we're doing a good job right where we are, when really we know and they know that we should be doing more, and that we're not doing more as just productivity, but doing more as in you're capable of more. But if you good where you at, I'm not going to push you no further. Those are the things and the mindsets that trip you up, because it keeps you in a space of average. it keeps you in this space of living, and nothing wrong, like average is fine, right? But if you're living below where you really should be, you'll never really be fulfilled, right? If you are constantly, and I literally had this conversation with somebody earlier, and they were like, I don't know why I keep taking menial jobs. I don't know why I'm afraid to move away. I don't know, I don't know where this, get another moment that came out of nowhere, but a lot of times my moments line up with the event. But it was literally, he was like, I don't know why I keep taking menial jobs. I don't know why I keep settling for this. I don't know why I haven't moved yet. And he was just having a moment. He was like, yo, this is the moment. I'm like, hey, I'm here. It's like, I try my best to embody the vent, right? So if you need the vent, we here, we on the phone, let's do it. But that is where I could have been like, no, you good. You should just keep doing what you're doing. That's where we mess up, by keep doing what we're doing when we really should be. Because my friend, he's brilliant, right? But just, I don't know. And he don't know. But we're gonna get him over the hump, right? The middle circle are neutral relationships. So they're not really in your inner circle. They're also not against you, but there may be some potential to grow a closer relationship or to learn more about them. Or they may be something like people that can potentially be business partners or writing partners or part of your network, like your social network. And they don't necessarily have to be super close to you, but you may do like some planning stuff with them. You may be able to go out with them and have a good positive time, right? But y'all not tight like that, but y'all cool. There may be people who are able to connect you with other people who like, man, I know you do this, right? I know you thrift. Hey, check out this lady that does this, right? Check out this person that does this, and they can hook you up, and y'all can have mutual support. Your outer circle, all those people that drain energy. You don't want them people too close to you, right? You want to limit time with them. So what we don't want to do, one, is settle. And we don't want to mix up any of those roles, right? We don't want people in our inner circle who should be in the outer circle. And we don't want people like in our middle circle who really should be in our inner circle, but we just haven't taken the time to really push forward in those relationships. So the big thing about this is check your circle, because often we either stay complacent, or we stay where we are, or we settle, or we live below where we really should be because of the influence around us. So if everybody's okay with, being okay, you more than likely will be okay, because there's nobody pushing you beyond where you are. There's nobody lighting that fire like Brittany was talking about. There's nobody like pushing you beyond where you are. Miss Blunt said, refocus, give yourself grace. That's it. When I know I need to do it, right? I need to get some applications in. I need to do some things. I need to refocus. I need to shift my focus, because I got personally, right, Sharon, I got really work minded, and I was getting frustrated with not finding the program I exactly wanted, the advisor that I want. It was like so many things. I was so mad, or not mad, I was frustrated. The advisor that I wanted was going on sabbatical. It was just like, oh, I can't find where I want to go. So I just was like, forget it. But it's time to refocus now, and I can got that fire lit up under me from several different areas. So we got to go. And for some of us, somebody need a fire, and hopefully tonight is the fire that you needed to really tell you, like, you need to pick back up where you were, or if you were told to shift, or if you've been moved to shift, you need to shift and keep moving. Just like we talked about last week, the consistency and the routine is what keeps you really going. So how do we build bonds when we're looking at growing relationships? Because sometimes it really is who you know that helps push us forward. It really is those relationships that connect you with other people to get to you to where you're going. Sometimes you do snag. Let's be honest. Sometimes you do get the job because somebody knew you, or you knew somebody that knew somebody. Sometimes you are able to establish relationships at schools, or with businesses, or in communities, or with organizations, because you know somebody. And we don't want to always keep that as a bad thing. Like, that's a good thing that can work in your favor, especially if it's something that you're passionate in. Look, get to know people, because people, when you establish a relationship, you can go so far, right? So how do we do that? Gratitude, showing gratitude. When somebody does something here's my grandma. People don't got to be nice to you. They don't got to do nothing for you. Make sure you say thank you. Saying thank you, even to the people who do things for you every day and it's expected. Say thank you. Right? Like, sometimes it's not about how much money you gave people. Hey, Henry. Sometimes it's not about how much credit you give people. Sometimes people just want to hear you know what? Thank you for always showing up, right? Thank you for always coming in here. That's why literally, even when we get up here on the event, it's some people that are up here faithfully every week. And I'm really grateful. That's why I'm like, hey, like I want to intentionally say hello to you. I want to intentionally say thank you because you literally could be doing anything else. And sometimes I would go off on tangents and I'm over here and I'm talking fast and you're still here. And I appreciate it because you really don't have to. There's some people who, when we have in-person events, they are there. They are there early. They are, and I want to always show my gratitude because again, you don't have to be here. Donald said gratefulness matters. Absolutely. Like it goes so far and you never know how far your gratitude may be the reason you get a job or somebody calls your business for the contract just because you told somebody thank you or you showed them how grateful you are for them. Britt, she said gratitude goes a long way, keeping track goes a long way, and can change your attitude. Absolutely. When you start looking around at the people that are showing up for you, when you start looking around, and it don't have to be a lot of people, it's just those consistent 1 or 2 or 3 people in your life that show up, that send you the text message, that always have an encouraging word, that support you, in whatever way. Like gratitude goes. So even family, like I tell my mom, whenever my mom goes somewhere, like if I'm traveling and speaking or traveling and preaching, my mom comes, my sister comes, my daughter comes, right? A lot of people are like, well, your daughter got to go anyway. She could go with my mom, like she could be somewhere else as well because she has her own band schedule and things like that. But a lot of times she wants to be with me. And I always thank her. Like, thank you for being with me because you really could be doing something else. Like people don't have to show up and they don't have to be present in whatever way. So gratitude is big. It really is. How else do we build bonds? By showing reciprocation. Reciprocation doesn't always mean I do exactly for you what you do for me, but reciprocation is I give you the same amount of energy, right? So you may be like, I'm gonna use the event for example, right? We have some people who are sponsors of the event and they give, X dollar amount a year or a month to the event. Very grateful for them. I may not be able to get them that much money. Not right now, not yet, right? But I am constantly showing up for them in other ways. Whether that's me being present in events, if that's me, if they need something, they're like, hey, can you do this for me? Guess what I'm saying? Yes, because again, reciprocation is now me showing up, me being there for them when they need it, me if they need something last minute, I'm like, look, I got it. No complaining, no nothing, because again, they show up for me in a way, I show up for them in a different way, right? And some relationship or some homes, it may be, look, I take the trash out, you clean the kitchen. It is a reciprocation of I do something for you. And it's not transactional, but it is, hey, this is how I show that I'm grateful for you. And this is how you show that you're grateful for me. And we reciprocate that. It's not a one-way street where one person's always doing something. It's we're both doing this together. Speaking of doing things together, another thing is shared growth. So we build bonds by doing things together. If you go to conferences with people, you ever notice like you can go to like a weekend conference with somebody and then y'all best friends. After that, like y'all tight. Y'all could be in a training session together for 8 hours for a couple days. And it's like, man, like, those people because you shared time. Y'all, you could be on I don't know what kind of groups you may be in, but you could be in a group with people where you go out. One of my friends, she's in a birthday group, and they like, it's people that don't necessarily know each other, but they get to know each other because they're in a birthday group and everybody goes out. If for all the December birthdays, they go out together. And it's like, that's how you grow together, by celebrating each other, getting to know one another. People may be in a book club. Like we read the book, but we also learned about one another. And maybe now I've grown a friend from this space. So even, doing a financial fast together and things like that is now we've done this thing together. We have this bond. Like I'm close to a lot of people like I went to college with because we were literally growing together. And we're tight because we have these experiences. Does that make sense? We have these experiences together that I don't have with anybody else but this group of people. So we have a special bond. And you can actually curate those with reading books together, doing financial plans together, doing Bible plans together, walking together, whatever it may be. Is now we have this common shared experience and we're doing it together. So that's building our bond. Another thing is Here's some things on the flip side, right? If you want to maybe distance yourself from people who may be negative, who may not line up with where you're trying to go, whatever the case may be. And Britt also said, before I get into that, it really feels good to show up for other people. And I want to say, yes, it works both ways. So for you to show up, it feels good to know that, hey, I got you. Like, I'm here, I'm showing up, right? And then on the other end, they feel good because it's like, man, you really showed up. You here for me, and you feel good being able to make people feel good. I totally agree with that. So here's the flip side of that. If you want to kind of back away from somebody, cause some separation because they may be negative, they may not line up with what you're trying to do. They may be one of those people who constantly try to tear you down, or they every time you come with an idea, they're trying to shoot it down, or whatever the case may be. Limit your interaction with them. And the same way the bonds can be with family, the limited interactions can also be with family. So there may be some family members, right? A lot of people like, that's your family. That's fine. But I don't have to be super close to them, right? And you don't have to feel guilty. Limit interactions with those people. Like, I may not answer the phone every time. I may not go to every event. I may not put myself in proximity, right, with you, but that's because I need to protect myself, right? Yes, that's what Miss Blunt said. Set boundaries. Set boundaries. Like, okay, I talked to them once this week. That's all I got. They talk so much junk. They always get, like, so I'm gonna limit my interaction to, we'll talk once a week, right? And that's actually our next one too. Set boundaries. So for yourself, it protects you, and for other people, it helps teach them how to treat you. So this is my boundary. If you either you're gonna bad bad or you're not. If you decide not to, best best wishes, because you won't be seeing me much, right? And then the last thing is empathy versus fixing. I don't say don't. We cannot fix people. You can't fix somebody. I can't fix nobody. People change because they want to. So a great thing that we can do is move from this space of trying to fix people and move into empathy, meaning I see your situation. I can understand where you're coming from and what you're going through, but I also understand I cannot fix you. So I empathize, I recognize where you are, I show up for you, but in my heart, in my soul, I also understand that I cannot fix you. We have to get that, because many of us, right, especially depending on what vocation you work in, whether you work with children or you work in ministry, you're a pastor, you're a leader, you're caring for people, you're a caretaker. You cannot fix people. You can show up for people, you can empathize, you can sympathize, but you cannot fix them. And we cannot, many of us may have this savior complex of, I can fix them, I can get them right, I can change their mind. People change their mind and they switch and they shift when they're ready, not when you're ready for them to. You're going to find yourself constantly frustrated when we're trying to make people be something, even if we see I'm sorry, this light is making my whole face itch. But even if we see their potential, even if we can see it, a lot of us can see it, but if they're not ready, you cannot fix them. So these are, I guess, the both sides, right, of growing closer to people, but also in a healthy way, distancing yourself to protect you and ultimately to protect them as well. Here's the last thing, and we'll kind of close out as we look at it. So we talked about limiting the beliefs and how ways that we can practically overcome them. We've talked about interactions with other people, and now it is leveraging your why. So how do you leverage your why? Anybody ever ask y'all that? Like, what's your why? Why do you do what you do? What inspired you to take this route? What made you want to be a teacher? What made you want to be a pastor? What made you want to work in finance? What made you want to be an administrator? What made you want to work, as an engineer? What made you, like, what's your why? And often our why is what keeps us going, even when we face obstacles, even when we get frustrated, when it gets too hot, when it seems like everything is going wrong. Our remembering our why and leveraging our why will help us push forward. So for some of us, our why may be, I do this for my children so they can have a better life, so they can see, where they can go. I do this because I want to be the first in my family. I do this because I want to inspire other women. I do this because I want Black men to know that they can be safe. I do this, whatever yours may be. I do this because I want financial freedom. I do this because I want to inspire young minds, right? Your why is what keeps you going when you're like, you know what, y'all can have this. You have the office, you got the keys back. We all have those days where it's like, no, you can have it back because I don't want it. Not today. Right. But our why is what keeps us motivated, even in those moments of like, I'm going to throw the towel in. Audre Lorde says this: when I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid. So not only does our why help us in moments of frustration, it also can help us in moments where we're afraid. So we may feel overwhelmed. We may feel like the dream is too big, right? We start working in the business, or we start getting closer to the dream, or we start taking these closer steps. And then it's like, whoa, this is getting real. That's a great moment to remember why you're doing it, so you don't get overwhelmed or you don't start, oh, nah, I don't know if I can do this. Remember why you're doing it. Like, there are other lives depending on you. There are other people who are going to have open doors because you did this. So we want to remember our why and find strength in that. So this is what I want to ask you. What is your why? You can put it in the comments or not. For some people, it may be more personal, and that's okay. My why is so my daughter can know that she can live without limits. Like, I don't ever, often women get put into this box of, if you're a mother, then now you can't do this, and you can't travel, and you can't, people like, when you have kids, you can't travel. Like, who told you that? Because Chris is going, right? Sometimes. Chris is going. Like, she's traveled. She's gone to places. She's been up, like, she's going. Like, I don't know where that came from. Or people say, once you get married, or once you get the job, or once you get older, after you turn 40, after you turn 60, after you turn, it's like, no. What is your why? Because it doesn't matter if you are 100 years old, you still kicking, you still got a why in you to keep going. In the same way, when we remember our why, not only does it help push us forward, but it also gives more meaning to what we're doing. So I'm not just doing it for the money. I'm not just doing it for the convenience. I'm not just doing it so I can travel around the world. I'm doing it so other little Black girls can know you can own the business and be an employee and be cute while you're doing it. And you can be a boss out here, and you can still be a wife, and you can still be a great mother, and you can show up for other people. You can do all the things, right? Don't just limit to yourself like, oh, if I'm going to be a business mogul, then I'm going to have to give up on the family. If I'm going to be traveling, then I have to give up on buying a house. No, you can do all the things. You got a house and a business and a family and travel, and you can do all the things, right? And why can I do it? Because this is why I do it. Because other people need to see that they can do it too. I want to encourage them, because other women are growing up, or other people are being influenced in other places, and I need to know that's not the only route that you can take. This is why. So think about that. So here's a few things that we're doing. We identifying. You can do this on your own time. Identify our limiting beliefs and then overcoming them. We're checking our circle to see who's there, who shouldn't be there, who we may need to add to it. And then the last thing is we are reconsidering or revisiting or now determining, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? And let me say this, it don't have to be nothing super deep, right? Britt said she has to rethink about her why. Yeah, I say I rethink my why all the time. But it doesn't have to be anything super deep. For some people, it may be something super inspiring, something super inspiring. For other people, it could be, and when I say simple, I mean it don't have to be deep. It could be like, I'm doing this because I want to be the first person in my family to have financial freedom. That's not real deep, and it doesn't have to be. Or somebody else may be, I'm doing it to show because I want something to pass down to my children. Somebody else may say, I'm doing it to break barriers for whoever's coming behind me. I'm doing this because this is my why. So when you find yourself afraid, when you find yourself frustrated, you got something feeling you to keep going. I'm doing this because somebody told me I couldn't. Right? And I'm going to prove to them it can be done. Right? It don't have to be super deep, but it has to be something that's going to genuinely push you forward. So if you're doing it purely because somebody said you couldn't, but you don't really have no interest in it, it's probably not the best route you want to take. But if you share your vision with somebody and then they were like, man, you can't do that. You can't make $1 million in a day. Right? But people have done it, and you have the ability to do it. Go on, show them. Go ahead and show them. Nah, let me go ahead and show you. Yeah, I can do it. Uh-oh, I dropped my phone. So here's the last part of that, and then we're gonna start wrapping it up. Your why serves as a path for you and a filter. So here's another way your why, or identifying your why, helps you. It helps you so that when opportunities arise that don't line up with where you're trying to go, you can go ahead and push those out the way and stay on trend, on path, on pace with where you're trying to go. The other thing is it helps filter, right? So it keeps you on the path that you need to be on, but it also filters out the things that you don't need. So if people are coming into your life and they don't line up with your values, with your belief systems, where you're trying to go ahead and filter them out, right? But it also keeps you on the right path. If things are and opportunities are popping up and they don't line up with your values, they don't line up with what you're trying to do, they don't line up with where you're trying to go, you can filter those out. And part of how you do that is remembering why you're doing it, right? If I'm trying to support young girls that have been discriminated against, I probably won't partner with a business that is known for unfair labor practices with young children, right? And that don't match, right? That doesn't go together. It doesn't make sense because they don't line up with your values, because you're trying to help young children and they are using them in a way that's illegal, right? Or it could be something as simple as, I want to be an administrator, right? I want to be like a school administrator, and somebody is telling you, and some are gonna be harder than others, right? Somebody's telling you, I got a full scholarship for you to go to school for farming. That's great. That's a great opportunity, but it really don't line up with where you're trying to go. So we want to remember why we're doing it and then stay on path and filter out things that could even be good. But if it doesn't line up with where you're trying to go, it doesn't really help you get there, and it doesn't help you progress forward, right? So here's the last thing. Our big goal here is to make sure that, one, we're not getting stuck by getting sidetracked by opportunities. We're not getting stuck by getting stuck in our own mind. We're able to remain unstoppable because we're staying on course. We're pushing past the pressure of what people try to put on us for what they think we should do. We're pushing past the pressure of limiting beliefs or things that people told you, oh, you can't do that. You from here, or you from there, or you've been divorced, or you're this age, or you're this color, or your hair, or your bank account, right? We're pushing past all that. So the pressure is the things that maybe we've internalized, but it's also the things that people try to tell us. So we push past that by checking our circle, by recognizing what has been said and trying our best to practically overcome that. And we also understand that it takes time, but also remembering why we do what we do, so that we have that extra fuel to help push us forward. I'm always appreciative, y'all. I'm always happy that y'all came on. I want you to remember that you can be unstuck, and you absolutely are unstoppable. And our daily decisions, our daily practices, even when we mess up or we trip up, you can still keep going to be completely unstoppable. Don't let anybody place any barriers on you. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do, right? So here's something that we start. Speaking of being unstoppable and all of these things, part of what we're doing with the event is we're also, kind of getting our tribe together and moving forward. So if you would like to be a part of our community, as far as receiving messages, as far as getting updates on where we'll be, when we'll be going live, you can absolutely text in the crew, join the event crew, right? You can text in the crew, one word, to 81010. We'll send out a text with encouragement, upcoming events, access to things that we have going on, whether it be virtual, in person. We're traveling to some more states this 2025. So we're excited about that. We'll be in Maryland for sure this year. We'll be in Atlanta this year. So we're looking forward to that. But one thing we definitely want you to do is be a part of our tribe. So know where we're going to be, know what we have coming up, know when we're going to be live, know when we might be in your city, get some inspiration, and some resources. You can, again, text in the crew, one word, to 81010. I promise you, we won't send you like 20 messages a day. We won't even text you every day. It'll just be something that we will do as it presents itself. And then the other part of it is you can actually become an official. We've had a few people ask about how they can become an official member of the Vent movement, and you can visit our website for that. So if you go to theventmovement.life and you click join now, you can be an official member of the Vent movement, and you get your Vent t-shirt. I feel like I love t-shirts, so when somebody tells me I'm getting a t-shirt, I'm like, yes. You get your Vent t-shirt. We celebrate birthdays together. We have, like, if you have anniversary or different things coming up, some people celebrate like the anniversary of them being clean. They celebrate wedding anniversaries. They celebrate anniversaries at their job, whatever that may be. We want to celebrate with you. We want to give you your flowers now, because again, we really value community. So if you want to be an official member of the Vent movement, go to our website, theventmovement.life, and click join now. On our website, we also have opportunities if the event has been beneficial to you, poured into you, if you have been a part of anything that we've done. You also have the ability to join the Vent Vestibule, where we chat together, and you also can donate or partner with us so that we can continue to do what we're doing. You just simply can click donate now, join now, or chat now, based on what you want to do, or you could click all three based on what you want to do. But again, if you want to join that text message tribe, text in the crew to 81010. And if you want to become an official member of the Vent, go to theventmovement.life, click join now. We would love to have you be a part of our community. We travel together. Again, we celebrate together. We had a member that lost a few family members, a few family members around holiday season. We were able to send out some things to them to show them our support, and they were really, really appreciative of that. So we want to be here to support our community, whether you're celebrating, whether you're mourning or grieving, whatever it may be. We are here, and we want to be here with you. So thank you all for tonight. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your transparency. I hope that you are going to take away from this episode and really take those tips that we talked about, looking at your circle as well as examining your why. But I had a great time talking to y'all tonight. As always, we will be back every Tuesday. Next week, oh, wait. Next week we have a special guest. This is the last thing for real. We have a very special guest. Mavis Rowe will be with us. Next week is the Tuesday after, not election. It's the Tuesday after Inauguration Day, the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Day. We'll be talking about faith, justice, and liberation. So we're going to have a really raw, open talk about how faith and government and liberation, all of these things often, they're either very, very compartmentalized, where people split them up, or we group them all together. So we want to have a real conversation about what our faith says about what's happening in our country, what government and skewing and mishandling of people and oppression does, and how it affects our faith and our theology and our religion, how faith and Christian nationalism has really affected our country. It's a lot of things we want to talk about. We really want to talk about how all those things often overlap. We look at Martin Luther King and the Black church during the civil rights movement. We'll also look at what it looks like now with church and state liberation, oppression, prejudice, discrimination. We want to have a really real conversation about those things, and not patty cake or tiptoe around it, but really dive into it. So Mavis will be on. We're having some conversations about that, being Black in America right now. Yeah, we want to talk about all those things. So we'll be back next Tuesday to talk about that. In the meantime, tomorrow night we'll be back on at 8 p.m. for the Vent nightcap, and then again on Thursday night. But next Tuesday we'll have a real conversation about what life, because life been life, and what life looks like now in light of the inauguration being on MLK Day. And life moving forward. So let's talk about it. I'm always excited for y'all to join. I'm always excited to hear from you. Hey, Miss Tracy Mingley. Again, thank y'all for coming on. For some of you, I cannot see unless you comment. So I appreciate you, Britt, Carl, Henry, Donald, Miss Blunt, Miss Tracy. I appreciate you all for being part of the conversation. I look forward to next week's conversation as well as tomorrow with the Vent Nightcap. So we will see you later. Good night. Get some rest. Take care of yourself.